Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I always say this, friends, how many coincidences can there be until it's a clear trend? Until it's no longer a coincidence, it's just what it is. And I'm speaking in reference to, of course, the Black Lives Matter organization, and in particular, the same Black Lives Matter organization that Patrice Ken Coolers is a co-founder of. Because of course, there's hundreds of different Black Lives Matter organizations, but the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation is the biggest one. It's the one that's always under scrutiny, and of course with good reason. The same question that we have been asking throughout this entire time: where did the money go? If you raise $90 million, $90 million, that's a whole lot of money. You know what you could do with $90 million? You give me $90 million, and I could easily make 10 to 15% clean on that money every single year just through basic investments and real estate development. And of course, that's very modest. You could make a whole lot of money with $90 million because it allows you to produce. You're in a totally different world when you have that kind of access to capital. You could create infrastructure, make buildings, renovate parks and communities and basketball courts. You could do so much good. We're not talking about chump change. And so that's why it's a legitimate question. Where's the money? What have you produced? The Black Lives Matter organization raised all of those funds with the explicit goal of actually doing something with it, creating something, making people's lives better. Yet I cannot point to a single thing that they have done, and neither can any left-wing activists who support the organization. Show me a single thing that they have created that has benefited the communities that they fundraised off. You can't do it because the whole thing was one massive, giant, colossal, bloated scam, and another scandal emerges. Another individual involved, the Black Lives Matter organization, or rather the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. Well, this individual, directly connected to the finance and fundraising division, is now being accused of siphoning off and stealing $10 million. That's 10 out of the $90 million that the organization supposedly connected. And speaking of connected, I mean, we're connecting all the dots, folks. We're starting to get the whole picture here. And already it seems as though 50%, maybe even more, I'll do the math later, or at least a rough estimate. The point is, we already know a good portion, if not close to a majority, of the funds raised were used completely illegitimately. We've got some stuff to talk about as the Black Lives Matter organization continues to get exposed. Let me show you guys what's going on, so let's roll the tape. Alright friends, so take a look at this. Black Lives Matter leader stole $10 million from organization, lawsuit says. A top leader in the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation was accused in a lawsuit filed this week of stealing millions of dollars from the organization through a scheme of fraud and misrepresentation. The lawsuit filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court on Thursday by Black Lives Matter Grassroots accused Shalomaya Bowers, one of the three members of the group's board of directors, of stealing more than $10 million from the far-left activist group for his own personal use. The Los Angeles Times noted that Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation raises funds through donations that are then distributed to Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is, quote, the umbrella organization for local chapters of the group. The lawsuit pinned federal and state-level investigations into the group on Bowers' alleged actions, accusing him of using the group's funds as a, quote, personal piggy bank and causing the group irreparable harm in a mere matter of months. While BLM leaders and movement workers were on the street risking their lives, all right, Mr. Bowers remained in his cushy offices devising a scheme of fraud and misrepresentation to break the implied, in fact, contract between donors and BLM, the lawsuit said. Bowers and the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation's board of directors claim that those who filed the lawsuit were effectively racists. Interesting. They would rather take the same steps of our white oppressors and utilize the criminal legal system, which is propped up by white supremacy, the same system they say they want to dismantle to solve movement disputes, the organization said. Oh, cry me a river, give me a break. First of all, this just shows you how despicable this organization is. Take the same steps as our white oppressors and white supremacy. I mean, as a white person, this is so insulting. The constant scapegoating of white oppressors and white supremacy. Nobody is oppressing you. Anytime these far-left activists get caught in their crimes, it's never their fault. It's the system's fault. It's white supremacy's fault. It's my right-wing narrative fault. My right-wing conspiracy fault. You are being accused of siphoning off $10 million for your own personal use. Money that, by the way, Mr. White oppressor, you mostly fundraised off of white people who were donating to your cause to make the world a better place, supposedly, and now you shove it back into people's faces when it's alleged that you might possibly have been running a scam, a fraud the entire time. I mean, this is almost an admission of guilt. It borders on that. And to all the people who have attacked me and other people like me for questioning the holy Black Lives Matter, what do you have to say now? I've maintained the exact same stance since the start. I am not against the idea that Black Lives Matter. I am not against activism or fundraising that helps communities of color or disenfranchised people. Absolutely not. But when you are in this very unique position of fundraising and collecting all of this money to do good, just like the government does with taxpayer dollars, you better prove without a shadow of a doubt that your organization is absolutely legitimate and that this money is being used effectively. And that has been the #1 issue since the start. Of course, the leftist narrative is that right-wingers just hate Black Lives Matter because they're deeply racist and just terrible people, but of course not. It's just common sense people who could see through all the BS. Once again, the question is, where's the money going? Well, we're able to quantify a decent amount of it. Patrice Cancoulers bought a $6 million home in California, as well as other personal homes, so we can't directly connect that to the Black Lives Matter organization. But we know that the Black Lives Matter organization dished out $6 million to buy a home that was purchased for $3.2 million by one of their finance directors like 6 days prior, and so they just doubled the price in what seems to be almost like a money laundering scheme. We know that they purchased a massive building in Toronto for $6 million as well. That's $12 million. We know they spent over $12 million on Democrat lawyers, Democrat-connected legal consultation that already puts us at $24 million. We know that Patrice Cancoulers has funneled multiple millions of dollars to her brother, her wife, and various other family members. I actually believe that Shamalaya, the individual accused of stealing the $10 million here, was also given hundreds of thousands of dollars, if I'm not mistaken, to help fund one of his businesses, but I'd have to go back and find the original article or the Daily Mail reporting. I'll probably get back to you guys on that one in another video. So anyways, let's chalk it up to just under $30 million accounted for so far, none of it used legitimately, and then add another $10 million on top of that. We are nearing $50 million, we'll call it an even $47 million, that is currently accounted for. That is half of the supposed $90 million collected, going directly into the pockets of the Black Lives Matter Global Foundation co-founder group, their family members, and of course their friends. We have been made aware of so many million dollars, and this whole thing was done under the guise as if it was a non-profit. But these people have profited. They've profited off the dilemma and struggle of their own people. They took a very emotional situation, the passing of George Floyd, and used it to their own benefit, to the extent that they started riots, vandalism, and arson. I believe over 30 people lost their lives during those riots. They created carnage and chaos and death, and then pushed for policy changes that led to the highest murder rate since the 1990s. They created an environment where more black young life has been lost almost than ever before, and they did it all while enriching themselves. Instead of taking that money and actually doing something with it, like I said in the intro, they didn't even have the common decency to make a community center or a park, or to start a neighborhood cleanup initiative. This stuff is truly cynical, it's despicable, and it's another one of those moments of leftists lobbing all kinds of slanderous labels and names and ad hominems at anybody who questions BLM. And once again, we're in the position to say, I told you so. But gullible, emotional Democrats getting scammed, once again, isn't exactly breaking news now, is it? That's what I got for you guys, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you feel like joining this community. I'm going to get back to work, though. Thanks for watching, friends, and I will see you on the next one.